never reprogramming the programming, never editing it, never hacking themselves, just running on the pure code and living a complete lie, believing that they're alive, but they're not. And Dope said, now we're back to Thoth again. Cease then the voice of the dweller. He said, I'm done talking now. I gave you the knowledge. Now you got to go, you got to get out here and act on it. And departed I to ponder on time. This guy said, you know what? As smart as I am, what my dad just told me, I need to go sit down and meditate on this. He said, departed I to ponder on time. I got to sit down. I got to digest this. Too many times we get the information, like the information I'm giving to you tonight, information from a workshop, information from an Instagram post or a video short or a reel or a TikTok or whatever. And then we just keep on scrolling. We keep on moving on, right? Oh, we got it. Oh, that was pretty deep. Let me keep on going. Let me just look for the next roll. Let me look for the next reel or TikTok or the next video clip. Wait a minute. Sit down and meditate on it for a second. Let the knowledge seep in. Stay in the present moment. Let your mind start to vibrate and get on the frequency of understanding. Let your mind begin to ask more questions so you can seek more answers. Don't just brush over deep knowledge as if it's like, nothing. Let it seep in for a second. And Thoth said, cease then the voice of the dweller, and departed I to ponder on time. For knew I that in these words lay wisdom and a way to explore the mysteries of time. Oft did I ponder the words of the dweller. This guy says, I can't get this off this stuff is embedded in my brain. I can't stop thinking about it now. It's deep. Then sought I to solve the mystery of time. But now he says, you know what, I gotta take action. I gotta figure this out. Found I that time moves through strange angles. Time moves in angles. Yet only by curves could I hope to attain the key that would give me access to the time space. Wow. Only by curves. In other words, the time is moving in angles, but to catch up to these angles to access the information, he had to move in curves. We're talking about the Fibonacci spiral now. We're talking about sacred geometry, right? This is what we're getting into now. We're talking about pi and phi. Yet only by curves could I hope to attain the key that would give me access to the time space. Found I that only by moving upward and yet again moving rightward could I be free from the time of the movement. He's talking about shifting into another dimension in a 90-degree angle. How would he know this 36,000 years ago that modern day theoretical physicists hypothesize that we are living in a universe that has 11 dimensions and they're on top of each other, compactified. And yes, compactified is a real word. Look it up. I remember the last time I used that word, people were laughing in the comments. He made up a word. No, I didn't make up a word.
You just don't fucking know it.
And to get access to these higher dimensions, they're in 90-degree angles right above each other, stacked and compactified. How would he know this 36,000 years ago? Found I that by moving upward and yet again moving rightward, I could be free from the time of the movement.
On April 1, 1807, Ohio enacted a law that prohibited black people from testifying in cases where white people were involved. In the early 1800s, the black population of Ohio grew exponentially as black people gained freedom and
weird ass commercials and shit.
Came from out of my body.
What's up, Ahora Bad? What's good?
Strange were the sights I saw in my journeys.
How are you doing?
Like the mysteries that opened to view. I saw man's beginning.
I'm dropping knowledge and talking to chat.
That nothing is new. Seek ye, O man, to learn the pathway that leads through the spaces that are formed forth in time. Forget not, O man, with all thy seeking that light is the goal ye shall seek to attain.
Good.
Your goal
Where
is
you
to
where
seek
you
light.
where do you live?
Your goal is to seek
Where are you
light
watching
in
from?
the dark. Search ye for the light on thy pathway, and ever for thee the goal shall endure. If you continue to seek light, your goal, your mission, your ascension will continue to endure. Let not shine the heart ever to darkness.
Iran,
Let shine
what's up?
light, let shine soul.
Can I ask you a
shine
question?
away.
I'm gonna have to pause this.
Know
Hold
ye
on.
that
So I heard and came to believe that it's possible that the reason why America has all these stupid ass wars out there is because they're really in Iran trying to take like secret ancient knowledge and artifacts. Is that true? Is there a porthole in Iran? And what do you guys think about aliens there? No? No what? No, no. All right.
eternal brightness.
So no aliens.
Thy soul
I have questions.
never
Okay, I'm ready. How far are you from Egypt? Okay, so here's this. Here's my fucking... What are your questions? I am listening. Okay.
fettered by bondage or darkness, ever
Never mind then.
a son of the light. He's saying,
I am
stay
here
away
when
from
you are
darkness.
ready.
Stay away from the people that are entertaining dark ideas, dark concepts. Stay away from thoughts that entertain darkness. If those things come around you, escape them immediately. Keep your mind focused on positivity, enlightenment, wisdom, understanding, love. Seeking the light. That's what seeking the light means. I know through hidden in darkness, your soul, a spark of the true flame exists. Be ye one with the greatest of
Do
all
I know
lights.
about Iran's Archies?
That's one with the universal source.
Archives or Archies?
The end of thy goal.
Please explain what an Archie is.
For without the great light, nothing can ever exist. That's powerful. Understanding that light always rules over darkness. Even though we have yin and yang, we have good and bad, we have darkness and light in the universe, we know that light is more powerful than darkness. Know ye that in all form and matter, the heart of light always exists. Always. Everything in this matrix is made of light. If you take two atoms and smash them together at CERN, at the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, you'll find that what are these particles made of? The essence of them is made of light, waves of light. Even though bound in darkness, inherent light always exists. Once I stood in the halls of Amenti and heard the voice of the lords of Amenti, saying in tones that rang through the silence, words of power, mighty and potent, chanted they the song of the cycles, the words that opened the path to the beyond.
Everyone knows you need a lawyer after a car accident injury. But what if I told you there's a better way? One,
Archie is a mausoleum for big humans, my brother. Like,
let me show you something that's changing everything.
when you say big humans, do you mean like very tall? Big? Like, how tall? How big? Archie is a mausoleum for humans, my brother. What is a mausoleum? A mausoleum is an external freestanding building constructed as a monument enclosing the burial chamber. No.
I saw the great path open and looked for the instant into the beyond. So are the movement of the cycles. Vast was the thought of the source could convey. Knew I even infinity is moving on some unthinkable end. Even infinity is moving according to a specific law. So are that the cosmos is order and part of a movement that extends into all space. A party of an order of orders, constantly moving in harmony of space. There's an order to everything. Second law of thermodynamics, we know that everything moves through entropy. Moves from an ordered state to a disordered state, and then recongeals and comes back to an ordered state again as a different form. Energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So I, the wheeling of cycles, like vast circles across the earth, knew I then that has been.
Oh, that's very cool.
And meet to another being, this far off grouping of space and time. Knew I that in the words are power to open the planes that are hidden from man. That even words lie hidden in the key that will open above and below. He's talking about cymatic frequencies that have the capability of transcending dimensions. You can transcend dimensions.
Transcend dimensions, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ohora Bad. I appreciate it.
Words. People conceive words as I'm speaking English.
Do you guys like skateboarding in Iran? Does anybody do skateboarding?
No, what you're actually doing is you are emanating a cymatic vibration from your vocal box that rides on atmospheric gases until it reaches somebody's cochlea inside their ear, and then the brain deciphers it and gets the signal as to what it believes you are trying to convey, the message you're trying to convey. That's how it works. But on a universal scale,
no.
frequencies of vibrations on a subatomic level,
hold on.
Literally are creating reality.
Let me turn this off. No, we're playing skateboarding games.
As we know it. Parkey now, man. This word I leave with thee. Use it, and ye shall find power in its sound. Say ye the word, Zin Uru, and power ye shall find. See, when you say this word, Zin Uru, Zin, Z-I-N, Uru, U-R-U, it's a cymatic frequency. It emanates a particular frequency into space-time that has power. Every time you speak, you're casting a spell. Every word, that's why they call it spelling. Every word you say is about casting spells. You're trying to create a reality that's...
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game.
Especially in sales.
I'm in the video game.
Email.
That's good for you, a reality that you want. You want things to...
Do you like challenges?
To benefit you in a specific way every time you speak. Saying this word, Zit Uru, has that effect over space-time when you back with conscious thought.
Do you like skateboarding?
Making the statement. You must understand that man is of light and light is of man. Remember I told you earlier that science has discovered that a human being is both a wave of potentials, waves of what? Light, and also solid matter. So we are all light beings, but also our consciousness is also light. Listen, yo, man, and hear a mystery, stranger than all that lies neath the sun. Know ye, yo, man, that all space is filled with worlds within worlds. So we are multidimensional beings having a three-dimensional experience. But our connection is multidimensional. We are connected to these higher dimensions. Once in search for deep buried wisdom, I open the door that bars them from man.
No.
Called I from the other planes of being.
It's all good.
Is talking about other dimensions. One who is furrier than the daughters of men. I called her from out of the spaces. We're talking about dimensions. To shine as a light to the world of men. Use out the drum of the serpent. We're talking about knowledge and wisdom and a vibration. Pour out the robe of the purple and gold. Place it on my head. I, the crown of silver. Around me the circle of cinnabar shone. Raise I my arms and cry of invocation that opens the path to the plains beyond. This man is opening dimensions through cymatics coming out of his own voice. He's not using any type of technology. He's not using this guy is doing this based on conscious, adept, initiate wisdom and knowledge, utilizing his own vocal box to create cymatic frequencies that hack.
Look at that good boy. Look at that good boy.
Product to the lords of the signs in their houses, lords of the two horizons, watchers of the terrible of the treble gates. Stand ye one at the right and one at the left, as the star rises to his throne and rules over his sign. Talking about star alignments now, constellations moving in correlation to the precession of the equinoxes. I, thou prince of Orulu, open the gates of the dim, hidden land, and release whom ye have imprisoned. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, dark lords of shining ones. And by their secret names which I know and can pronounce, hear ye and obey my will, and is commanding the darkness. Lit I then the flame of my circle, and called her in the space plains beyond. Daughter of light, return from Orulu. 7 times and 7 times have I passed through the fire, and found I have not eaten, water I have not drunk. I called thee from Orulu, from the realms of Orchestro. I summon thee, Lady of Night. This is powerful stuff. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine 36,000 years ago, according to mainstream, we were like hunter-gatherers just trying to find scraps on the ground and scavenging to eat, trying to, group hunt mammoths and all this kind of crazy stuff, and living out of caves and everything else. And at the same time, that's all supposed to be going on, this is being written. This is being written, right? So let me ask you this question based on bare bones logic. If you're living in a civilization where your main goal of the day is to survive and just find some type of food and shelter, do you have time to write these kind of works of art? Do you have time to understand quantum physics, quantum mechanics, theoretical physics, philosophy, frequencies and vibrations? Do you have time for that? So something ain't adding up. Either some people came here with some real knowledge, or they don't want us to know that these people came here with real knowledge, so they don't teach you this in school. Fear is the Lord of the dark Orulu. Fear. Fear is the Lord of the dark Orulu. To he who never faced dark fear, know that fear has existence, created by those who are bound by their fears. Shake off thy bondage, O children, and walk in the light of the glorious day. Fear. What does fear mean? What is fear an acronym of? False evidence appearing real. Fear is a choice. What do they pump on the news 24/7 on the mainstream news? They pump fear. What do they pump non-stop? It's fear, fear, fear. Why do they do that? Because fear puts you in a malleable state of mind so they can control you. But fear becomes your Lord. That means fear becomes your God. And you worship fear. like you worship your God. But you're not aware that you're doing that until I just told you. When you're living in a state of fear, which is a low frequency, it becomes your Lord. Never turn thy thoughts into darkness, and surely ye shall be one with the light. Man is only what he believeth. Man is only what he believeth. A brother of darkness or a child of light. Which one are you? Are you darkness or are you light? If you believe you're light, then act like it. Drop the fear. Fear is a choice. False evidence appearing real. A brother of darkness or a child of light. Come through into the light, my children. Walk in the pathway that leads to the sun. The S-U-N, the sun. What did Thoth call himself? A son of Atlantis, spelled S-U-N. He also called himself a son of man, an S-U-N of man. In the Bible, it's mistranslated as S-O-N by accident on purpose. When Jesus calls himself the Son of Man, he's calling himself the Son, S-U-N, of man. Just like Thoth is. Why would he do that? Because he learned this from the Egyptian mysteries. Because he studied from Thoth directly when he went to live in Egypt. That's why he calls himself the Son of Man in the Bible. Nobody ever asked, why does he call himself the Son of Man? He's supposed to be the Son of God. No, he's a Son of Man. S-U-N, a light. He's a beacon, right? He's a lighthouse in the darkness. Walk in the pathway that leads to the sun. Hark ye now, and list to the wisdom. Use thou the word I have given unto thee. Use it, and surely thou shalt find power and wisdom. Then Uru. And light to walk in the way. Seek thee, and find the key I have given, and ever shalt thou be a child of the light. That was the key of time. Emerald tablet number 10. From my book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. You know, the Emerald Tablets is really some deep, deep, deep wisdom and knowledge. You can't read them just once. You've got to read them dozens and dozens of times. And the more you read them, the more wisdom and knowledge you gain.
doing, buddy? What's up, buddy? You came out looking for me? Do I know about you? No? Tell me. Tell me about you. Run away? What's a runaway? Ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. That shit. By the hand of that shit. It's just a joke. Don't fear. Okay. Good, good, good. Very good. Very good. Don't run away. Don't you run away. Let's fucking go, man. Tell me more. Tell me more. What's going on in Iran? What do you do for fun? Please tell me what you do for fun. Woo!
At Viberg, we're experts in small business insurance. We think through every risk factor for your industry, crunch the numbers
Oh,
with our
shut the
nerdy.
fuck up. Can I talk with you? Yes. We're talking.
Now, Mesopotamia, if you don't know, that is where? That's a location where Iraq, Iran, and all those Middle Eastern countries are located
Ooh.
right now.
That's very interesting. Did you hear what he just said? Do you know what Mesopotamia is? It's so hard. We are nothing. Have fun. Have you ever heard of Mesopotamia? Oh, that was perfect with the music. Let's go. Hey, what is your phone? The phone that I'm streaming on this YouTube channel is a Galaxy. Samsung Galaxy. But I'm also
Ancient Mesopotamia. Now, Mesopotamia, if you don't know, that is where? That's a location where Iraq, Iran, all those Middle Eastern countries are located right now. That's where this epic originated. The literary history of Gilgamesh begins with the Sumerian poems about Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, dating from the 3rd dynasty of Ur. You know, so we know that there's a ziggurat of Ur as well, and that's the giant step pyramid that exists right there in Iraq. As a matter of fact, there's a tunnel leading underneath the ziggurat of Ur all the way to the Giza Plateau in Egypt, which is in Africa. So we have 12 tablets here, okay? 12 amazing tablets of information that predate most texts that exist, especially the biblical text. We're going to start with tablet number 1. He who has seen
7.
everything I will make known. To the lands I will teach about him who experienced all things alike.
But I have like a whole other box of phones too, but they're just old and I don't use them.
Now, who is Anu?
These
Anu is
these
the
6
god of the
phones
king of
I
the
use all the time.
person of the Anunnaki. Anu is the father of Enki and Enlil. Okay, he's the head, he's the leader. All right, so at the time he actually is the king. He's the king of Nibiru.
Oh, Dark
Anu
Star
grants
killing
him
shit,
the
killing it.
totality of knowledge
Dark
of
Star
all.
killing it.
So we're talking about Gilgamesh being granted the ability to access a high level of knowledge. He saw the secret, discovered the hidden. He brought information of all time before the flood. This is a pre-diluvial text. We're talking about before the Great Flood, and you're going to see in this later on, as I get to those later tablets, about Unapishtim, who's actually the same person as Ziusudra, who really is Noah. And he's got to build this ark. And you're going to see some incredible information about this ark, and the shape of the ark doesn't match the shape of the biblical ark. He saw the secret, discovered the hidden. He brought information of the time before the flood. He went on a distant journey, pushing himself to exhaustion, but then was brought to peace. He carved on a stone stela.
So what other questions do you have?
And built the wall of
I'm reading the chat and I'm answering questions.
Temple, the holy sanctuary. Look at this wall, which gleams with copper. Inspect its inner wall, the likes of which no one can equal. Take hold of the threshold stone. It dates from the ancient times. Go close the Iana temple, the residence of Ishtar. Who is Ishtar?
When your severe asthma says you can't,
Ishtar,
Aspire
don't be a
says you
retard.
can. To Aspire is an add-on treatment.
Ishtar is the reason why you celebrate Easter. Okay? She was the fertility goddess in Babylonian times. And the actual holiday of Easter, which is
Bitch is
celebrated
broke down,
mostly by Christians,
about to take it doggy
is
style.
actually the celebration of fertility of Ishtar, the Babylonian Anunnaki goddess. This is why they have the eggs and the bunnies laying the eggs. It's a fertility thing. It has nothing
I have one
to do
phone and it's
with resurrections.
redeem
You've
note
been
for
celebrating Easter all the
14.
time. You've been celebrating and you've been worshiping.
Well, I'm a
Ishtar.
businessman, so I gotta have lots of phones. I make
Now you know.
movies, I make
Check this
music,
out.
I
One
come up with all
league
kinds
city,
of
one league
things.
Palm Gardens. So from the
I need
city,
lots
there's
of
a
phones.
league to the Palm Gardens, and from the Palm Gardens, there's another league to the lowlands, the open area of Ishtar Temple. 3 leagues, and the open area of Uruk is the wall encloses. We're talking about a super megalithic wall that encloses this entire area. Now, Gilgamesh went through every hardship, supreme over other kings, lordly in appearance. He is the hero. He walks out in front, the leader, and walks in the rear, trusted by his champions. Mighty Net, protector of his people. Raging flood wave who destroys even the walls of stone. They're describing Gilgamesh now.
You
So
are
we're
also
talking
my
about the
best
fact that
friend.
This man, first of all, he's a giant. He's described as a giant.
My
He's
best friend.
incredibly massive. This
What
a
is your
big
name,
person.
friend?
You'll see if you Google Gilgamesh or the Epic of Gilgamesh, you'll see that he's holding a lion in one arm across his chest, a full-size grown male lion with the mane and all. And it looks like a kitty cat in his arms almost. This is how big this guy was. But he has knowledge of how to build, how to construct, of advanced technology.
Hello,
He also has the capability
Ahura.
of traveling, not around his local area, but around the world. Okay? Around the world. He explored the world regions. He didn't explore around the corner. He didn't explore the next village. He explored the world. So every time we keep talking about these ancestors, man, and we think that they don't know anything and that they're dumb and what they say has no value, it's like spitting in their face. Seeking life. That was the reason why he was traveling the world, seeking life. It was he who reached by his own sheer strength, Upanishtim. We're talking about Noah now, the faraway, who restored the sanctuaries or cities that the flood destroyed. 2/3 of him is God, 1/3 of him is human. Now let me say that again. 2/3 of him is God, 1/3 of him is human. He's 2/3 Anunnaki and 1/3 human. If you want to understand the mix of his genetics and why he was so brilliant, why his IQ was so vast, why his strength and his size were incredible, and why he was considered to be a hero. He was mostly Anunnaki DNA. The great goddess Aru designed the model for his body. She prepared his form, beautiful and handsome of men, perfect. We're talking about the fact that they genetically created him. Now, they didn't create him from scratch as if they created a person out of nothing. But right now, today, and I have a friend who's done this with his first child. He has a second child that they're going to do this as well. They create designer babies. He spent over $250,000 to make a designer baby. I mean, he's rich. He can do whatever he wants. They pick the hair color. They pick the eye color. They pick everything. Okay, they also filter out potential genetic diseases and things like that. Turn genes off, turn genes on to keep the person supposedly healthy for the most of their life. And that's something you can go do right now today in the world we live in. Well, they were doing this in ancient times. The great goddess Aruru designed the model for his body.
I am 918 years old.
Prepared his form, beautiful and handsomest of men, perfect. Aruru washed her hands. She pinched off some clay and threw it into the wilderness. Now here's where it gets very interesting. In the wilderness, she created the valiant Enkidu. So now we're getting into some stuff that really is about genetics. Anu said, well, this guy, he's got to have a counterpart. If it's not going to be a woman, let him have a counterpart, because he wants to go on this hero's journey. He wants to keep traveling the world.
I've been around
Give
for a
him
long
companion
time.
to go with him. So
Ah,
they
look at this
literally
boy.
fashion a person. They create an entity which isn't really a human.
Meow.
It's more like a cyborg, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so she doesn't give birth to this thing. She creates it somewhere outside the gates of Uruk. And check this out. When Aruru heard this, she created within herself the secret of Anu. Aruru washed her hands. She pinched off some clay and threw it into the wilderness. In the wilderness, she created valiant Enkidu, born of silence, endowed with strength.
How about you? How old are you?
His whole body was shaggy with hair.
Ahora, how old are you?
His locks billowed in profusion like a shan. So he had dreadlocks. He knew neither peopled nor set a living. He didn't know human beings, and he didn't know anything about civilization or being civilized, all right? But wore a garment like Shamukan. He ate grasses with the gazelles and jostled at the watering hole with animals. As with animals, his thirst was staked by mere water.
We all know the world is in tremendous crisis and peril today.
The problem is, the consciouscape keeps engulfing us and telling us that we need to.
A notorious trapper came face to face with him opposite of the watering hole. At first, a second and a third day, he came back to face with him.
Well, I did click that this video is 18 and up.
On seeing him, the trapper's face went stark.
Officially, this video is supposed to be 18 and up.
Enkidu and his animals.
But I can't control who watch it. But I did click that.
Fear.
Just for the record.
Stock still, his heart pounded with his face drained of color. He was miserable to the core, and his face looked like one who had made a long journey. The trapper addressed with his father, saying, "Father, a certain fellow has come from the mountains. He is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. He continually goes over the mountains. He continuously jostles at the watering place with the animals. He continually plants his feet opposite of the watering place. I was afraid, so I did not go to him. He filled in the pits that I had dug, wrenched out my traps that I had spread, released from my grasp the wild animals. He does not let me make my rounds in the wilderness." The trapper's father spoke to him, saying, "My son, there lives in Uruk a certain Gilgamesh. There is no one stronger than he. He is as strong as the meteorite of Anu. Go set off to Uruk. Tell Gilgamesh of this man and might. He will give you the harlot Shamat. Then take her with you. The woman will overcome the fellow as if he were strong. When the animals are drinking at the water place, have her take her robe off and expose her sex. When he sees her, he will draw near to her, and his animals will grow up in the wilderness, and he will be alien to him." He heeded his father's advice. The trapper went off to Uruk. He made the journey, stood inside of Uruk, and declared to Gilgamesh, "There is a certain fellow who has come from the mountains. He is the mightiest in the land. His strength is mighty as the meteorite of Anu. He continually goes over the mountains. He continuously jostles the watering place with the animals. He continually plants his feet opposite the watering place. I was afraid, so I did not go up to him. He filled in the pits that I had dug. He wrenched out my traps that I had spread, released from my grasp the wild animals. He does not let me make my rounds in the wilderness. Gilgamesh said to the trapper, "Go, trapper, bring the harlot Shamat with you. When the animals are drinking at the watering place, have her take off her robe and expose her sex."
Yeah.
When he's
Sorry about that. I'm also hosting this other game. Yeah, I know about Hackers. Why? What's up? Hackers is one of my favorite movies.
sees her, he will draw near
Angelina
her,
Jolie.
And the animals who grew up in the wilderness will be alien to him. Obviously, they're taking this female named Shamat, and they're going to have her literally just seduce this guy so that they can get him away from the trap so this hunter can continue to hunt and bring meat home for the village, which is probably his main source of income. Okay? The trapper might be bringing the harlot, Shamat, with him. They set off on the journey, moving direct way. On the third day, they arrived at the appointed place, and the trapper and the harlot sat down at their posts. The first day and the second, they sat opposite the watering hole. The animals arrived and drank at the watering hole. Then he, Enkidu, offspring of the mountains, who eats grasses with the gazelles, came to drink at the watering hole with the animals. When the wild beast he staked with water, then Shamat saw him, a primitive, a savage fellow from the depths of the wilderness. That is he, Shamat. Release your clenched arms, expose your sex so he can take in your voluptuousness. Do not be restrained, take his energy. He's basically saying, he's basically pimping this lady to this wild, created man, saying, we gotta go take one for the team so we can get back to work. Okay? She says, do not be restrained, take his energy. When he sees you, he will draw near to you. Spread out your robe so he can lie upon you and perform his primitive task of womankind. His animals, who grew up in the wilderness, will become alien to him, and his lust will groan over you. Shamat unclutched her bosom, exposed her sex, and he took in her voluptuousness. She was not restrained, but took his energy. She spread out her robe and lay upon her. She performed the primitive task of womankind. His lust groaned over her.
You know, everyone's got imposter syndrome to a certain degree, and the only way to just
The fuck up.
For 6 days and 7 nights, Enkidu stayed aroused. Okay, this guy was aroused for 6 days and 7 nights.
Damn.
And had intercourse with the harlot until he was sated with her charms. But when he turned his attention to his animals, the gazelle saw Enkidu and darted off. The wild animals distanced themselves from his body. Enkidu was utterly depleted. His knees wanted to go off with his animals, went rigid. Enkidu was diminished. His running was not as before. His legs were weak. And 6 days, who knows how many rounds he went. Okay? But then he drew himself up, for his understanding had broadened. Turning around, he sat down at the harlot's feet, gazing into her face, his ears attentive as the harlot spoke. The harlot said to Enkidu, "You are beautiful, Enkidu. You are become like a god. Why do you gallop around in the wilderness with the wild beast? Come, let me bring you to Uruk Haven, to the holy temple, the residence of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection." Now, what's interesting here, I want to point out, is she's going to take this Enkidu person back to Uruk Haven. All right, so we're talking about going back to the kingdom. At this kingdom, Anu himself is living amongst people. One of these quote-unquote gods of the tablets, and I do mean lowercase g gods, they masqueraded as gods, and his goddess, Ishtar, are actually living in a temple amongst regular people. So these people engaged mankind in ancient times in a way where we worshiped them, we honored them, we brought them our offerings. We thought they were real gods. They were just masquerading as gods. They weren't gods. They weren't the creator of the universe, and they themselves knew this. When is the perfect time to approach a species on a planet? When they're in their developmental stages and they're very low. If you want to violate any universal laws of engagement, which I believe these Anunnaki beings did, if you want to violate, universal laws of engagement, you want to take advantage of a situation due to ignorance of the being or the species on a planet, you luck out if you arrive when they're in the Stone Ages. You really luck out, because then you can mold them however you want. You can get them to become your slaves without them thinking they're slaves, because they'll believe you're a god. And that's exactly what happened. She says, the residents of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection, but who struts his power over the people like a wild bull. What she kept saying found favor with him. Becoming aware of himself, he sought a friend. So this Enkidu now realizes knowledge of self. He didn't see himself as an animal anymore. He's beginning to see himself as a sentient being. And so now he's going to head off to this kingdom with this harlot. Enkidu spoke to the harlot, "Come, Shamat, take me away with you to the sacred holy temple, the residence of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection, but who struts his power over the people like a wild bull. I will challenge him. Let me shout out in Uruk, I am the mighty one. Lead me in, and I will change the order of things. He whose strength is mightiest is the one born in the wilderness." So now he sees a challenge here. Shamat says to Enkidu, "Come, let us go, so he may see your face. I will lead you to Gilgamesh. I know where he will be. Look out, look about, Enkidu inside Uruk Haven, where the people show off in skirted finery, where every day is a day for some festival, where the lyre and the drum play continually, where harlots stand about pretty, excluding voluptuousness, full of laughter, and on the couch of the night of the sheets are spread. Enkidu, you who do not know how to live, I will show you Gilgamesh, a man of extreme feelings. Look at him, gaze in his face. He is a handsome youth with freshness. His entire body exudes voluptuousness. He is mightier and more strength than you, without sleeping a day or night. He's saying that Gilgamesh is so huge and powerful that this guy doesn't even need to go to sleep, and he still has the most power, or is the strongest being that they know of in that city, in that kingdom. Enkidu, it is your wrong thoughts you must change. It is Gilgamesh whom Shamat loves. And Anu, Enlil, and La have enlarged his mind, even before you came from the mountain. So what she's saying is, Gilgamesh's mind, his mind had been expanded. His knowledge and wisdom had been expanded. He had taken in so much knowledge from who? Anu, his son Enlil, who was also known as Yahweh in the Bible, and La. Okay, we're talking about three people that have extremely high knowledge in the Sumerian tablets, have taken Gilgamesh in as an adept initiate and given him a supreme amount of knowledge, making him one of the wisest men on the planet. So she says, Gilgamesh got up and revealed the dream, saying to his mother, "Mother, I had a dream last night. Stars of the sky appeared, and some kind of meteorite of Anu fell next to me. I tried to lift it, but it was too mighty for me. I tried to turn it over, but it could not budge. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The whole land had assembled about it. The populace was thronging around it. The men clustered about it and kissed its feet as if it were a little baby. I loved it and embraced it as a wife. I laid down at your feet, and you made it complete with me. The mother of Gilgamesh, the wise, all-knowing, said to her lord, Riamat Ninsun, the wise, all-knowing, said to Gilgamesh, as for the stars of the sky that appeared, and the meteorite of Anu which fell next to you, you tried to lift it, but it was too mighty for you. You tried to turn it over, but it was unable to budge. You laid it down at my feet, and I made it complete with you. And you loved and embraced it as a wife. There will come to you a mighty man, a comrade who saves his friend. So there's a prophecy coming out of this dream, and his mother is literally discerning his dream and giving him this prophecy, what's to happen and why he had this dream. To come to him is going to be a mighty man who's going to become a comrade and saves his life. He is the mightiest in the land. He is the strongest. His strength is mighty as the meteorite of Anu. You loved him and embraced him as a wife. And it is he who will repeatedly save you. Your dream is good and portuous. A second time, Gilgamesh said to his mother, Mother, I have had another dream. At the gate of my martial chamber, there lay an axe.
Your workflow is important to us. Please wait indefinitely.
With Monday.com's intuitive work management platform.
Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up?
And
Dre Green, what's up, Dre Green?
The land of Uruk was standing around it. The whole land assembled about it.
How are you?
The populace was thronging around it. I laid it down at your feet.
I've been
I loved
really
it and embraced it
good.
as a wife, and you made it complete with me. The mother of Gilgamesh, the wise, all-knowing, said to her son,
Super busy, just making a bunch of music.
The wise, all-knowing, said to Gilgamesh,
I'm streaming all these video games right now at once. Then I'm also recording while I'm doing that, and I'm live on YouTube. And I'm playing this video trying to bring some people some knowledge. Just kind of working from the house because I hurt my knee skateboarding a little bit, so I'm just at the house grinding it out. What have you been writing? Books?
Gilgamesh spoke to his mother, saying, By the command of Enlil, the great counselor, so may it to pass. Okay? So now he's saying is, wow, Mom, these two dreams, you're telling me what this is leading to. Someone that's coming that I'm gonna be a really close friend with that's gonna save my life and is a super mighty person, maybe even potentially mightier than me. And
nice.
So this is the prophecy coming from.
That's what's up. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Bro, I dropped 28 motherfucking albums in 4 years. And not no mini shit with like 4 songs or nothing. Like every fucking album had like 10 or 11 songs. I think there was like only one that had 9 songs, but all of them had like at least 10 or 11 songs. Take this time to heal, treat yourself. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's what I'm doing. Like today I sat in the pool and I just like floated around for a little bit, but I have a lot to do. So I've just been working and getting this shit going. I got 2 TV shows coming. 2 books coming. Got to keep the music going. I just got a lot of shit popping off, and I'm trying to get on as many podcasts as possible. I was on 2 podcasts last week, so just grinding it out.
Ramat Ninsun, his mother. So it goes on saying, by the command of Enlil, great counselor, so it too may pass. May I have a friend and advisor? A friend and advisor may I have? You have interpreted for me the dreams about him.
Yeah, I'd be working out and shit.
Another harlot recounted the dreams.
I was getting kind of big, but then I hurt my back skateboarding, so I had to stop. Got back to it, and then I hurt my knee, so I'm just now back to lifting weights again. So I'm gonna keep at it. Get fucking huge.
Time came due. We're talking about a great epic here that was written almost 5,000 years ago, 4,700 roughly years ago, right? We're talking about Gilgamesh, a mighty man, all right? A mighty man that was fashioned, that was created, not created from scratch as if somebody had magic but he was a genetically created person using designer technology, just like we have designer babies right now. We're going to go in for a little while about the book of Enoch. Make sure you guys click that like button so we can get the algorithm. Click the like button, and also please, if you can, share the video, okay? Share the video, click the like button. I'm going to be talking about the book of Enoch tonight, all right? The book of Enoch. I'll describe to you who Enoch was and everything else. If you look into the dogma of the Christian belief system, they praise Enoch for being so holy and so so good to God that he was taken away and straight to heaven. He didn't have to die. He went straight into heaven and he never came back. That's what they preach to you, right? They tell you that this guy was just real good guy, and he did everything that God wanted, and he was without sin, and he was so incredible that hey, just take him straight to heaven. Just bypass the whole death process. Just go ahead and take him to heaven. And they'll teach you that in Sunday school, right? And so that's the story that you get, but that's not the actual true story. Not the true story. It's quite interesting that Enoch is highly, highly, highly revered in the biblical text. However, his own book, look at all this information in here.
Give us a spin. Hey, but let everybody know, because you already know that they deleted my 2 main channels. I'm glad you found me. But just let the people know, because this is the new channel, I guess. I haven't really been too motivated to do lives because, as soon as it builds up and I start getting viral videos and shit, they delete my videos and fucking delete my whole fucking channel. So it's a little annoying. Sorry, I accidentally hit mute. If there's anybody that knows the truth about what you just said, it's Dre Green. We been doing this live shit, bro. Like, I've been doing, come on, man. You already know how long I've been doing the sleep streams for and all this shit. I've been going live since fucking YouTube came out. Yeah. Everybody's doing it now. And then the fucked up part is they deleted all my fucking channels. So you can't even see that I'm the originator because all my shit's gone. Shit's bullshit. You got to just make it to where you're not. Man, they fucking know who the fuck this is, man. But then actually the sad thing is that some people don't because they fucking... they deleted all my shit. Like, over 7 million views. Hella videos. It's fucking gone.
In the pits.
Croto.
Wilderness. You'll mission to the trapper.
The Trapper. What the fuck? Oh, there we go. Kyoto. Haha. Honestly, I have been thinking about it. But I don't get paid. So it's like, what's the fucking point? It was cool back in the day because people used to donate and shit, and then shit, I was making a little bit of money on Patreon, not that much, but all that shit is done.
In your voluptuousness, do not be restrained. Take his energy.
What about Twitch?
Basically saying he's basically pimping this lady to this will.
I don't know. I got a Twitch. I did all that shit, Twitch and Kick. It's all the fucking same. I'm gonna build it up and they're gonna fucking delete it. It's happened before. It's happening on all platforms, and I'm shadow banned. No, I'm not tripping. I don't need money from this shit, honestly. I'm already good. I already got money. I'm chilling. Got my boy, my other boy, yeah, homebody. I know. I got a question for you. Do they have a way, maybe like, I don't know. I don't want this to sound like the wrong way, but like, is there YouTube where like people have to pay to watch it? Like, what if I did sleep streams and people had to pay $5 or something? Or is that lame? Yeah, everybody sleep. I don't know. But then they're probably not letting my link fucking... Oh, you believe so? Maybe I'll try that. Shit, because like if I could sleep stream and wake up to like $200 or something, that'd be worth it. Or something. Shit. It's all good though.
Text was left out of the canonized Bible. Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's talking about these people behind me. That's why. The Book of Enoch. It's an ancient Jewish religious text traditionally ascribed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah. Now, who is Noah? We know now, because I've been reading the Epic of Gilgamesh, that Noah is actually Ziusudra. Okay? That's his real name, Ziusudra, before it was converted to the name of Noah in more recent texts. His original name is Ziusudra, or even in some, depending on which version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, Akkadian or Babylonian, it could be Unapishtim. Okay? Ziusudra is the most commonly known name, but Enoch is the great-grandfather of the person that was actually given the instructions on how to build a ship to be saved from the flood. Now, this ship that he actually built, we discover in the Sumerian tablets, is not a gigantic boat like what they have been preaching to you in Sunday school. He was given the instructions, and how do I know this? Well, the tablet is actually in the British Museum. He was given the instructions on how to build a gigantic round disc submersible, or maybe it flew, I don't know. We don't know how he knows. And it was cut up into sections like a pie on the inside. And he was told to put his local flora and fauna and his local livestock in that disc. He never built a gigantic ship. Not once did he build a ship.
Let me guess, you're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea. But first, let's talk about the things
That is false information. Not once did 2 parakeets and 2 lions and 2 deer and 2 cockroaches and 2 fleas and 2 ticks and all this come on the boat. Didn't happen, okay? I'm just telling you right now, it did not happen. He was literally told to get his local flora and fauna and his local livestock and take on this disc that was cut up into sections like a pie on the inside, but it was a sealed disc, like a saucer, okay? That's what he was in. And we know this for an absolute fact now. There's no way to get around it. There's absolutely no way to get around it. And, you know, they show in the movies, they got, you know, that one movie, that Noah movie, they got, you know, every kind of animal and you got 2 flies and, you know, I mean, come on, guys. 2 piranha. I mean, get out of here. It didn't happen, okay? It just didn't happen. Let's get into the real knowledge, all right? Let's just drop the fairy tales and get to the real knowledge. So Enoch is the great-grandfather. Now, what's important here is we're aligning a man who has directly interacted with these advanced beings. Now we know his own descendant also interacted with these advanced beings, as he was given the actual instructions how to build this from Enki, one of these Anunnaki people. Enki saved him and his family's life by teaching him how to build this particular disc-shaped floating device, whatever you want to call it, right? This DNA bank, if maybe it was that. But we see a direct connection between Enoch and Ziusudra, who's actually now called Noah in more modern texts, because the Bible is New Age information, not Old Age, it's New Age. So it's interesting that connection, that lineage is there. 2 people, same bloodline, both being directly engaged by these beings. I can remember being a kid in elementary school having to hide underneath my work desk. They would make us go underneath the work desk to do practice for if a nuclear bomb went off, as if my work desk was going to protect me from a nuclear blast. So you go underneath the desk and you ball up like you're an embryo underneath your desk, in case a nuclear blast goes off. That was the Cold War. So I grew up during the Cold War era, 70s and 80s, right? The tech is still there. There are literally tens of thousands of nukes on this planet right now today, tens of thousands of them. And the sad part is, they're not on this planet to protect us from an outside invader. They're on this planet to destroy us while we're still on the planet. We haven't even left the planet. We can't even escape. It's here to destroy us while we're standing on the ground. Can you imagine being an advanced alien race flying by this planet and you use your scanners and oh man, they've learned how to split the atom. Oh, they've got an arsenal down there. Wow, they're really ready to protect themselves. Oh wait, let me hack these and check the trajectory of these intercontinental ballistic missiles that they've created. Oh my goodness, they're set to blow up their own selves while they're on the same planet. Don't stop here. This is a ghetto. It's a ghetto. Come on, man. And so now what do we have that, besides the nukes, now we have other types of weapons, digital weapons, right? We haven't even began to put any type of restraint on the release of the amount of AI and robotics that's going on. I love the AI stuff and robotics. I think it could help mankind significantly. But I think in the way it's being released,
send it.
Not too safe. I just read an article that the U.S. military at DARPA, or the DARPA.
Just remember, everything's more expensive nowadays.
Literally just developed the very first fighter jet that runs purely on AI and put it into a dogfight. They put it into a dogfight. So it's a fly-by-wire fighter jet, which means it's on the grid. We're talking about Skynet now, but Skynet with consciousness. Isn't that the movie Terminator? Didn't we already watch that movie Terminator? We didn't learn anything from the Hollywood movie. It was a documentary, and now we're living it in real time. We got to be careful. All this tech that we keep getting, way before we are consciously ready to even handle it. We're not spiritually ready to handle a lot of this technology. During the full moon, which is totally predictable, do you know that police stations ramp up and have more policemen on staff that night? And the emergency room at hospitals have more staff that night on a full moon? Do you know why? Because on full moons, there's going to be more activity with crime and with injuries, either stemming from crime or other, maybe more car accidents, whatever, on the night of full moon. Full moons directly affect human consciousness, directly. And so you have the consequences of all these teachings that these beings did. I don't call them angels because they're not angels in my book. The knowledge imparted by the watchers leads to increased sinfulness and corruption among humanity, according to the book of Enoch. The text portrays this dissemination of forbidden knowledge as one of the key factors leading to the moral decay and the eventual decision of God to bring about the great flood in the form of a divine retribution. Now think about this for a minute. Let's go. We got to have a conversation. I'm almighty. I'm all knowledgeable. I'm all knowing. I'm Alpha and Omega. I'm the beginning and the end. I think and things come into existence. I breathe and wind blows and I snap my fingers and I create multiverses and all this good stuff. And I got a couple of bad apples that just don't want to listen to what I have to say. So they break my rules and they go to this planet Earth and they start teaching people how to, do things and gave them a little bit too much knowledge. And because of this knowledge, they start acting up too. You know what? Instead of me going down there and setting everything straight and doing some real teachings, doing some workshops, I think I just, go ahead and wash the whole planet away. Just flood it. Just kill everybody. Just kill as many people as I possibly can and see if I can start over, like a fresh slate, because I'm God. And it would be just too easy for me to snap my fingers or go down there and teach. So I think what I will do is I'll just destroy and kill everybody. Women, children, everybody. Just kill them all. Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. Come on. It's ridiculous. That's why I'm laughing. And you know it's ridiculous. So do all the pastors listening to me right now. It's an absolute farce. It's a farce because you're saying in one moment this being is so powerful, it can control everything with a single thought and a snap of a finger. Or one spoken word, and on the other hand,
You gotta send me extra too, man. You gotta pay me to do it.
Helpless,
I got money to buy ice cream. You gotta pay me to do this shit.
Come on, man.
Send as much as you can.
Is being all powerful, all knowing, all knowledgeable, or is he always man, or is he weak and only has enough power to do a couple things like kill people? Because when you read this Bible, there's one thing that's guaranteed you'll find out when you go through this Bible like I have. God kills over 3 million people in the Bible. The devil kills nobody. He kills nobody. Satan kills nobody. God kills 3 million. Think about that. That's why in the book of Isaiah, God says, let me read the exact verse for you. That way you know what? I know y'all think I be playing when I be talking, giving you guys these verses. Okay? I'm going to give you the exact verse. It's in Isaiah. This is funny. Isaiah 45:7. That's where you're going. God says, I create the good and I create the evil. Do it I, saith the Lord. He didn't say Satan made the evil. He didn't say, oh, that doggone Satan, he's creating all the evil in the world. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He literally said, I create the good and I create the evil. And you know what? He's damn right, because he killed 3 million people in that Bible. The best he can do is hurl a rock at the planet and try to kill as many as he possibly can. He. It's always a he, by the way. It's always amazing that it's always a dude. Right? It's always a dude. It's always a dude.
Bottom line is, everybody is psychic, whether you know it or not.
All humans are born.
To me, God is a frequency. It's our job to tune in. So that's what happens. Pretty interesting, right? The punishment to the watchers is, as the result of their actions, the watchers are judged by the archangels and are subjected to severe punishments. They are bound and cast into the abyss, a form of imprisonment and torment, as a penalty for their disobedience and negative impact on humanity. So the humans.
How much did you send?
But these people, they don't die. They just get kind of bound into some kind of chamber where they can't get out. They're not killed. They're put into some kind of prison. But the people, they got to suffer and drown. Their babies and all. Right? This is what they're telling you. And like I said, if you really go into the text, you discover something very interesting, that Enoch wasn't taken by God. He was taken by people. And he wasn't just taken once, he was taken more than once. You're taught in Bible study that he was taken to heaven on a chariot, never to return again. He was taken straight to heaven. He bypassed death. Not according to the book of Enoch. where he actually has a conversation with the beings that are going to take him on this trip to teach him knowledge. This teaching is approved, and this trip is actually approved, and it's given a set day that they're going to leave on this trip. He even gets his affairs in order and has his sons prepared for the day that he's going to leave. In the book of Enoch, the narrative of Enoch being taken into the sky or the heavens is one of the key elements of the text. The ascension is portrayed as an extraordinary event where Enoch is granted divine visions and insights, setting the stage for the detailed revelations that follow in the book. In his ascension to heaven, Enoch's ascension is described across several passages in the book of Enoch. He's taken up into the heavens multiple times, each providing different experiences and revelations. In other words, different things are being taught, different knowledge that he's being given on different trips, multiple, not even dozens, but multiple means
It's
more
fucking sick.
In his initial ascension, Enoch describes how he was taken up into the heavens on the clouds, and the wind in the sky bore him along. Well, that sounds quite a bit like flying in some type of a vessel. The ascension is often seen in his initial introduction into the celestial realms, and during this time, he visits various places in the heavens and earth, including the places where the heavenly bodies, stars, sun, and moon are regulated. Oh, he's in outer space, guys. One of the earliest accounts of a planned alien abduction. Visions of the heavens. As Enoch ascends, he is shown the treasures of the stars and the thunder. Among other secretive and sacred places of the heavens, he witnessed the workings of the natural world from a divine perspective. So he's looking at the earth from atop, and he describes it as a giant ball. Understanding the operation of the cosmos, the weather patterns, and other natural phenomena from above, looking down on the planet. He's seeing the clouds from the other side. See, this isn't a story about some heavenly father of sky with a magic wand whisking away a good human into heaven. It's a story of advanced beings with advanced technology that's capable of space travel, taking a man from the earth into space and teaching him things. Ooh. This is why the book of Enoch is not in the Bible. Then you have the revelation of secrets. Throughout his heavenly journey, Enoch is also shown secrets that are not known to other humans. He's given forbidden knowledge. These include ultimate judgments of the angels and humans, hidden paths of the stars. He's given star maps and the storehouses of life and rain, which are meant to explain both cosmic and earthly operations from a divine standpoint. He's given the information and knowledge how to predict weather patterns on Earth. That's what the book of Enoch is all about. These are the facts. Why am I doing this? Because I know most people would never get a chance to go through this. But if you do, you'll find everything I'm talking about is right in this book, the book of Enoch. One of the most revered people in the biblical text, whose book was omitted by the Council of Nicaea. Why? We don't want to tell them about these aliens taking people into space and teaching them how to kill each other, make weapons, and all of this, and how they lusted after our women. No. Let's keep that on the outside. Let's keep it on the outside. That's why. You know, the thing about knowledge is it has no power. Only if you apply it, it has power. The application of knowledge is power, but knowledge alone is not power. So now that you've got some knowledge, right? Now that you have some knowledge, what are you going to do with it? You have it in here, but if it stays in there, it's like putting your talents underneath a rock. Just like that parable in the Bible. Oh, you gotta read the Bible. Okay. I got my Bible right here. I had this Bible since, what's the original date I had this? I got this Bible in 1998. 1998. And it kept it in great condition considering how much I've gone through it. Don't put your talents underneath the rock. See, I'm intelligent because I know how to take good information from this book. I can take good information from the Quran. I can take good information from the Apocrypha. I could take good information from the Enuma Elish. I could take good information from the Bhagavad Gita. I could take good information from the Sefer Yetzirah.
The
I could take good information from the Nag Hammadi scripts. I can put it all together. I can keep going. Oh yeah. I can keep going. The difference between being super intelligent and being ignorant is your ability to take information from multiple sources and connect the dots, but also to know and discern what to utilize and what to discard. That's what makes you super intelligent. Literally. When you get to that level, it's a high level. It don't mean you fully made it, because I didn't fully make it yet. But I tell you what, I'm on my damn way. Learning is a lifelong process. But you gotta be able to connect the dots. And I'm gonna tell you something, there's good information in this book. Don't get me wrong now, don't get me twisted. There's good information in that book that you can apply to your life. And if you apply some of those things to your life, you're gonna get a good result. Period. It's a fact. Not all of it's trash. A lot of it's just remixed ancient text. But there's good information that you can actually utilize and apply in your life in that Bible. Quran as well. Nag Hammadi scriptures as well. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on. Come on, bud. I have over 1,500 books in this house alone. And I know what's in every single book. You gotta take time and energy to put into the things that are important. Everyone does that for whatever is important to them. For me, the knowledge is what's important to me. That's what's important to me, the knowledge. And understanding how I can apply it and how I can actually use it. That's what's important to me. You see? That's what's important to me.
Down, boys, my fucking legs fucked up. Perfect position, motherfucker.
Well, the frick done. Sometimes when I'm trying to make flashy edits like this, I also get pretty intimidated, and that's what motion right now is saying. Motion.
But the Sumerian kings list is incredible because it records the names of these kings, it records how long each king ruled, and it records the city that they ruled from. Okay? It records the city that they actually ruled from. Think about that. So we're talking about a high level of information. We're talking about the real account. And then when we go back, we being archaeologists, to the names of these places in Mesopotamia, which is now modern day Middle East, Iraq, Iran, Tehran, and all these places, guess what we discover? We discover remnants of those ancient cities. They actually existed. We can see the remnant structures in the ground buried by sand. Some sticking up above the sand, some underneath the sand. Discovered through radar and LiDAR and everything else. So we know that these structures of these cities did exist, and the evidence, the physical evidence of them is still here today. I'm talking about everything through Assyria, Akkadian, Babylonian, Persian, all of that, Turkey. But I want to talk about the Sumerian kings list because this is the most accurate list of kings in procession that exists with these extensive lifespans. The Egyptian kings list actually only picks up around the 3rd dynasty because a lot of information had kind of been lost. We kind of got the names here and there. We kind of got the dates through estimates of star alignments and some other accounts. The Sumerian kings list, right down the line. Okay? Right down the line. And what's incredible about this is you discover that they even let some women rule at some point. So some women even had kingship over the planet. It's not ruling over a specific region of the earth, but over planet Earth itself. But let me show you a picture now. Where can you find this Sumerian kings list, these mythical tablets? There's only one, and that actually is located, the original is located at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, England. So I took a trip there myself, and this is the photo, the Sumerian kings list translation. The following translation, we're going to be going over the Sumerian kings list located in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, England. And it begins here. After the kingship descended from heaven, they're talking about kingship used to be in heaven. Now, in these ancient references where you see heaven, they're not talking about heaven where the pearly white gates are. They're talking about heaven as meaning above the earth. And when you see the word heaven, they're talking about these kingdoms that exist outside of Earth's atmosphere. After kingship had descended from heaven, meaning that kingship was being ruled from space, not from the planet itself. And we know that the Sumerian god Anu, A-N-U, who was the head god at one point, he didn't like coming down to the planet's surface. He preferred to rule from the sky. After the kingship descended from heaven, kingship was in Eridu. In Eridu, Alulim became king. He ruled for 28,800 years. Think about that. They record these years in shars. The shars are 2,600 years. This total amount of years combined, according to these people, was 28,800. One man. That's just the time he ruled. How about how long did he actually live? They had access to monotone gold, gold and silver, the elixir of life that they always talk about in these tablets. They knew how to transfer their mind from one body to the next. They knew how to create clones of their own body in something called the halls of Amenti in rejuvenation chambers and transfer from body to body, living amongst men but unlike men, giving the impression to the people that they were eternal, that they were immortal. Then what happens? Alajar ruled for 36,000 years. The two kings that ruled for 64,800 years. Then Eridug fell, and the kingship was taken to Bactibiera. In Bactibiera, Enmanluana ruled for 43,200 years. One person.
It is possible when you're working with a program that is this flexible. They make it possible. You can make it possible. This is how I move forward with Purdue Global. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
43,200. They didn't have the telomeres capped. Their telomeres aren't capped. We know that there was a genetic mutation to mankind around 200,000 years ago, where chromosome number 2 was taken out, fused together, and 2 telomere caps were put on this chromosome, one on each side. And the telomere was capped, meaning once it runs out of genetic buffer material, you begin the death process.
Shit.
Well, we know for a fact that prior to that, there's recordings of humans, Homo sapiens like us, living for way more than 60, 70, 80 years. But with the cap, the maximum lifespan is 120 years. And what did they find out at Harvard University? The maximum lifespan of a human being under the most pristine conditions and health is about 120 years. Even Star Trek copied that same thing because they got the right conditions there in that particular century. So the maximum lifespan of a human being in the Star Trek series is 120 years. We know that he ruled for 43,200 years. Enmanluana ruled for 28,800 years. Dumuzi, the shepherd, ruled for 36,000 years. In one city, they ruled this long. 3 kings, they ruled for 108,000 years. Then Bactibiera fell, which means it was the end of that reign. Somebody else had to take over some other place. And the kingship was taken to Zimbir. In Zimbir, Enmanluana became king. He ruled for 21,000 years. One king, he ruled for 21,000 years. Then Zimbir fell, and the kingship was taken to Suripag. In Suripag, Ubar Tutu became king, and he ruled for 18,600 years. One king. In 5 cities, 8 kings ruled for 241,200 years. Then the flood swept over the land. They didn't want you to know that people came here that looked like us, but that really weren't quite us. That not only did they come here, but they developed a breakaway civilization on Earth, and they ruled here. But here you have a physical, actual piece of evidence. And then we can track back and we know these cities were real. And they're trying to say the Earth is 5,000 to 6,000 years old. Are you kidding me? Now, the flood swept over the land. So what happened was, after the flood swept over the land, they said, we gotta change this up now. Now, first of all, when this flood came, this was a situation that was even talked about in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, where there was a global flood. As a matter of fact, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which I talk about in my book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, you can get it on Amazon or forbiddenknowledge.com. Thoth, in the opening scene, is talking to his father about the flood. It's finally beginning to subside. And the rush of fountains have slowed down, and that ancient temples are coming up out of the mud. And his dad tells him to get a crew together and go to the land of Khem and rebuild civilization. So we know that this flood is real. We have a flood account in every single civilization, on every continent, every ancient culture on the planet. I believe there were potentially more than just one flood. Some were regional, some were global. We're talking about a massive flood. And in the Sumerian tablets, according to the tablets, the reason for the flood could have been stopped. But Enlil was so disgusted with human beings, if you read the Epic of Gilgamesh, stone tablet discovered. It was carved, cut up into sections like a pie on the inside, and his instructions were to gather up his local flock and any local animal, flora that was in the area, and take on the ark with him, some meals and so forth, some water and everything else, right? Not to get two of every kind from around the planet. 2 cockroaches and 2 fleas and 2 lizards and 2 false information, fake news. Didn't happen. And we have the physical tablet. We have the physical evidence of the tablet which gave the instructions on what to build. It was a disc, almost looking like a UFO shape, not a big giant boat that they've been teaching y'all for generations and generations. Fake news. It's fake news. They taught you a bunch of lies. So after the flood had swept over and the kingship had descended from heaven, the kingship was in Kik. In Kik, Jakur became king. He ruled for 1,200 years. Kulusiana Bel ruled for 960 years. Then it says, Nanjik Lekima ruled for 670 years. And Tarana ruled for 420 years and 3 months and 3.5 days. Why give such an exact time period when you have to now etch all of this into stone? Do you see there's no logic behind that? The reason why this was done or why this was recorded is because it happened. And Tarana ruled for 420 years, 3 months, and 3.5 days. And that was a woman. So there's a record here of a woman ruling for 420 years in these tablets. Baboon ruled for 300 years. Zukakik ruled for 900. And then you have Atab who ruled for 600 years. Makda, the son of Atab, ruled for 840 years. Aruim, the son of Makata, ruled for 720 years. Etana the shepherd, who ascended to heaven and consolidated all the foreign countries, became king, and he ruled for 1,500 years. He consolidated all, not some, not a few. He consolidated all of the foreign countries. He made one giant kingdom and became king and ruled for 1,500 years. We know that it's real. We know that these cities are real. Why isn't this being taught anywhere? Because it breaks down dogma. It breaks down falsehoods. It breaks down fake news. That's why. It destroys it. This one tablet will destroy any religion. This one tablet destroys any religion. Look at this. Ali, the son of Etana, ruled for 400 years. These people understood the longevity of life. And Menuna ruled for 660 years. Melem Kik, the son of Enmenuna, ruled for 900 years. 1,560 are the years of the dynasty of Enmenuna. Cesar, the son of Zamud, ruled for 305 years. Iku ruled for 900 years. Itasadum ruled for 1,200 years. Enme Barajesi, who made the land of Elam submit, became king, and he ruled for 900 years. Aga, the son of Enmen Baresi, ruled for 625 years. 1,525 are the years of the dynasty of Enmegarasi. 23 kings that ruled for 24,510 years, 3 months, and 3.5 days. Then the king was defeated, and the kingship was taken to Guyana. Do you see the detail in this? Do you see how intricate this is? How much effort has been put into this information? So, this text is really incredible because it's so ancient. And this version of the Sumerian tablets, of this king's list, the Sumerian king's list in this tablet, is copied from even an older tablet. And that previous one was copied from even an older tablet. And that one was copied from even an older tablet. So we're looking at a copy of text that goes back, who knows how many, hundreds of thousands of years. We're looking at some of the oldest accounts in the world of people who came from another place, not from Earth, and created a breakaway civilization, and then began to rule over this planet. It comes down to a point where they begin to give kingship over to humans. It comes to a point post-diluvial, after the flood, where they say, okay, there's a lot of people on this planet now. And now we're going to begin to have a liaison between us and the human race. So we're going to have a person in that go-between is a person that's going to be half human and half Anunnaki. In this case, these Anunnaki beings created an Atlantean civilization. So it'll be a demigod, half human, half Anunnaki. And so the original pharaohs and kings, they were the liaisons between these gods who wanted to see their will imposed on the land and the masses. Where the kingship years are dropping. And by the time it gets to the end, they begin to live short lifespans. So now, this is me. I'm standing inside of the Temple of Seti in a hallway that leads towards the Temple of Osiris, or the Osirian. And in this incredible, super ancient hallway, on one side is the original Egyptian king's list that's used to make all text based off of the Egyptian king's list pretty much in the world. If you're looking at the screen, it will be to your right. If you're facing away from the screen, it will be to the left. On the left side are giant representations of the Nibiru, the ancient gods that came to Earth during the time of Zep-Tepi and turned mud into a kingdom. That's what they said there, not me. They said the Nibiru came from outside of this earth and it came down to the ground, and after the flood, they turned mud into a kingdom. The Emerald Tablets says the same thing. When they saw the temple, when those saw the temples rising up out of the mud, they decided to go to the land of Chem and rebuild civilization. Same thing. Same story, different tablets, different time periods, same story. The Dogon tribe, right now already in Mali, Africa. Now what's interesting about the Dogon tribe is they literally were the original inhabitants of pre-dynastic Egypt, or aka the land of Kemet. Okay? They were the people that were inhabiting the land of Kemet, and they were the people that had, and still do, have significant knowledge that has baffled scientists for 44 or 5 decades now since they learned about it. And so the Dogon tribe, we can date back to at least 7,200 to 7,300 years that they were already in Kemet. supernova. Depends on how much mass the star has. Some stars aren't big enough to go supernova, like our star, the star we have that we orbit. This is why creating a breakaway civilization and leaving your star to go somewhere else and create a breakaway civilization is the norm for any advanced race of people, which is exactly what happened here. And we have the evidence in writing, carved into the stone, all over this planet. Etched into stone, saying that's exactly what happened. The Dogon tribe, what did they say? You want to have pride in your ancestors? You want to feel good about your ancestors? Well, don't spit in their face then when they tell you that the Nomo came from another star named Sirius B and brought them advanced knowledge of the universe. They came from space to this planet and sat with these people and taught them about star systems, planetary alignments. They taught them about every single planet in our solar system, the shape, the size, the color, the orbital periods, the equatorial periods, everything going on within our solar system and beyond. They had this advanced knowledge and still have it until this very day. They have this special ritual called the Ziki, where they put these masks on and they do these alignment rituals only when specific stars and planets are aligned in space. And they do this with no telescope. And they know about these orbital periods of trinary star systems with no telescope. By the way, Sirius B can't even be seen by the naked eye on a great night because it's a failed star. It ran out of fuel, it became a white dwarf. Just like our sun is going to become a white dwarf, which is the point I was trying to make. Our sun's going to expand and it's going to shrink to a white dwarf. They even knew how much mass was in the white dwarf. You see, just because the sun shrinks down, it doesn't lose its mass. What happens is the mass is compressed and condensed so that one spoonful, if you were able to take a spoonful of the mass of a white dwarf, every human being on the planet together couldn't lift it. The Dogon tribe know this. They made that exact statement. So they understand astrophysics on a level that we had to discover much, much, much later than them. Right? They knew this 7,000 years ago. What's interesting is when they got to Kemet, it was on the rebuilding phase, meaning prior to the Dogon tribe, prior to the Great Flood, there was an advanced civilization there as well. Matter of fact, that entire region, forget that, the entire planet was an advanced civilization. Far more advanced than we have right now. We're not even close to tapping into what they had. We haven't even scratched the surface of what they had, what they were capable of doing. Even with the suppressed technologies, even those aren't scratching the surface of the total power and capabilities of these ancient cultures. The Dogon tribe never had a military, police, or a jail system because they had zero crime. They would have disagreements, and then an elder would negotiate the terms of an agreement between the two sides, and that was the end of it. We don't know nothing. We're still launching chemical-propelled rockets into space. We know nothing. So don't spit in your ancestors' faces by thinking you know more than them, because you don't. And neither do I. And so we know that, unfortunately, because of how peaceful they were, another race came in from the area and was Egypt, or Kemet, whatever you want to call it, has been overthrown 7 times. Another thing that's, before I continue to go into this Egyptian kings list, another thing that people get inaccurate or wrong is thinking that Egypt was all one race for the whole time. That's a falsehood. That's fake news. Egypt was overthrown 7 times by 7 different groups of people, multiple races. This is why when you go to the Cairo Museum, which I'll take you there if you come with me, when you go to the Egyptian Museum of Civilization, which I'll take you there if you come with me, you'll see bodies in there. You'll see the mummies in there. You'll see black mummies with dreadlocks and elongated skulls, by the way. You'll see black mummies with blonde hair. You'll see fair-skinned mummies with red hair. You'll see mummies that resemble people of Persian, Greek. You'll see even some that look Asian. So why is this? Egypt was a multicultural location in Africa. Even the last ruler was Alexander the Great. He became a pharaoh there. We know he wasn't black. We gotta tell the facts. But then you go down a little further, you see, go up another couple of dynastic eras, and you're gonna find out that people look different. It's just a fact. It's a fact of life. We gotta start running from it. We gotta start promoting fake news. Yes, there were black people in Egypt. Over time, it changed up from race to race to race. It just is what it is. As Egypt was, like I said, overthrown 7 times in history. And the reasons why the noses are broken off and the ears are off is not because people didn't want people to know that black people were in Egypt. That's another big lie that's been out there for a very long time. Going viral and floating around nonstop. When you come to Egypt with me, you learn the truth. That the statues and carvings there that date back 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, some even further back than that, years, thousands of years, before anybody of any other culture or skin tone came there, they're already off. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And there's 2 reasons. The first reason is the most delicate part of these statues is the nose and the ears. They're the first to erode. They're the first to break when it falls. They're the first to go when they take them down and bury them or whatever happens. That's the reason number 1. The second reason is the Coptic Christians. Christianity existed long before Jesus was even born. The Coptics. The Coptics said, you know what, but they kind of followed under Akhenaten's monotheistic ideas and began this whole new Coptic Christian thing. Akhenaten, the reason why he was kicked out of Egypt was because he started saying there's only one God, and we're going to follow God. So he was worshiping Amen Ra. But the people were like, okay, well, that's the only one then. So then it turned into the God of heaven, and it turned into the Father God and the Lord. And the Coptics took that, ran with it over time. And then it was like, we have to deface all the other gods. Because Akhenaten said, there'll be no other God but him. So let's begin to erase this. And so the people of Egypt, they were getting pissed off at Akhenaten because he was having people go around chipping away their faces. He was. That's King Tut's dad. King Tut's dad, who was a black pharaoh, ordered this. Then the Coptics carried on. Everywhere they would hide out from the Romans, they would hide in these ancient temples and places, and they would just, while they were in it, they just start chipping away. Because it was an insult to them, it was demonic. So Egyptian gods, and then the two, or aka the Anunnaki, they would start chipping away all the faces. Anytime they came across a statue, chip it away. It was the ultimate. It was considered the ultimate insult. And that's how all these faces and noses got chipped away. We kind of get broken up in the first dynastic, the Dogon were pre-dynastic. Then we go into the dynastic era, and it's kind of lost. There's not a lot of information about the first dynasty, the second dynasty of Egypt. The first two dynasties are it's really tough to put it together. And what we do know, though, is here's something interesting. Human sacrifice was practiced at the funerary rituals that were associated with the pharaohs. So why in the world would you be an advanced civilization that has high technology, that knows how to build pyramids and use them for multiple purposes, basically create stone functioning machines, obelisks that are made of magnetized crystal granite that can send information back and forth, that can communicate, electricity for gold plating and other things, other uses, because we have the gold plated items. So we know they use electric gold plating.
This being appeared over 6 foot tall, had a very large elephant nose. So then I decided, let's just retreat. We had.
So that means they had electricity thousands of years ago. We know they had light bulbs and all of this. And so now with all this high knowledge and all this, you begin to do now human sacrifices. Something's wrong here with this picture. The sacrifices were done. Well, that tells me something about these people. They weren't that intelligent. You begin to discover that a lot of these sites that I take you to in Egypt are super ancient. I'm talking about far older than you can even imagine. We're talking about tens of thousands in some cases, tens of thousands of years old. And you begin to discover that by the time the first dynasty begins, they inherited what was already there. They built nothing. These people in the first dynasty and second dynasty built nothing. And whatever they did build fell apart, mud brick stuff. It's a joke. They inherited these megaliths. They were there already when they arrived. Just like the Mayans built nothing. And the Mexican archaeologists will tell you this, that the Mayans built nothing, because they know. The Mayans inherited what was already there. They have records that the Mayans arrived in Teotihuacan, in Chichen Itza, and Cope, and all these other places. And the stuff was there already. They just moved in. And then they started doing what? Sacrifices. They would throw virgins into wells because they thought it would make it rain, and they would play on the ball court, rip your heart out if you won. Same thing going on over here in Egypt. Foolishness. Dogma and foolishness. Why? Because these weren't the people that built the structures. These weren't the people with high knowledge at that time period. In some weird way, the knowledge was lost for a while. You had Namur and Portaha, Jur and Jet and Mereneth, the Den, and Anajib and Senekaket, Ka, Sinberka. These are some of the kings that they're presuming ruled. And let's look at their kingship time that they may have ruled during this era. 54 years. 10 years. This one they don't know. 42 years, 10 years, 8.5 years, 34 years. You see the difference? We don't really pick up an accurate account until we get to the kings list that I showed you I was standing in front of at Abydos. And we pick up around the 3rd dynasty. So we're going into the 3rd dynasty. So you can see the old kingdom picks up around 2649 to 2150 BC. Okay? That's BC. If you don't know, that means before Christ. Now they're starting to use BCE, which means before current era. So if you want to go before Christ, And you can see we got the names of some of these kings from the Old Kingdom in the Third Dynasty. Zenaket, Dozier, Semaket, Kaba, Huni, Snefru, Khufu, Jezreel, Khafre, Nebuchadnezzar II, going into the Fourth Dynasty now, Menacure, and even these, these people here in the Fourth Dynasty, in my opinion, they inherited some of the pyramids that were already here and put their name on them. So they put their name on some of the pyramids. That's my personal opinion. After looking and being inside of them, like in the Third Dynasty, the Joshua, okay? That's the big pyramid. That pyramid is a gigantic diagnostics tool. And it's so sophisticated, I've climbed on the inside of that pyramid from the bottom all the way to the top on the inside and took people with me. So you can see Fourth Dynasty, Fifth Dynasty, Sixth Dynasty, then you get to the first intermediate period, okay? You got Dynasty 8 through 10, then the first half of Dynasty 11, then you get to the middle kingdom. And then it goes second half of Dynasty 11, you can see all these kings here ruling. Dynasty 12, 13, 14 through 16, 17. Then you get to the New Kingdom era. And now you're getting into the time of Amenhotep III, who ruled around 1390 BC to 1352 BC. That's King Tut's grandfather. So he's all the way, King Tut is all the way up into the 18th dynasty. His bloodline kind of becomes recognizable, I should say, around then, because some famous things happen with Amenhotep III, King Taye, and then leading into eventually, obviously, what happened with him and his demise. But all these kings here, what you can see on the right-hand side, their ruling periods, they're not that long. Very short periods in kingship, extremely short. Now we're down into the 26th dynasty, 27. You see what it says right here? Persian. The 27th dynasty is Persian. The 26th dynasty is Scythian. The 25th dynasty is Nubian. So in the 25th dynasty, the black kings return. Okay? They return to the 25th dynasty. Look at this, the Macedonian period. Alexander the Great. You know about that. And then you even have the Ptolemaic period. When I tell you that there's time periods where civilization in Egypt itself has risen and fallen between cultures and races. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. All right? An absolute fact. So, yes, there were black kings and queens, but there were also Persian kings and queens. There were Greek kings and queens. There were Nubian kings and queens. There were, the mix goes on and on and on. Various kings and queens over different periods of time, meaning different races of people over periods of time. You can see them inside of these museums, the bodies are there. But the point I'm trying to make is they understood initially, before the Great Flood, the Sumerian kings, they understood the secret of longevity of life. They understood the secret of immortality through a couple of means. Like I said before, the elixir of life, which included monatomic gold and colloidal silver, along with a few other herbs they would add in there. They also understood show you how to transfer their consciousness from body to body through these many halls of Amenti that existed around the entire planet. If you come to Egypt with me, I will take you to one of the halls of Amenti. I will take you to one. I will let you touch an actual rejuvenation chamber. You will see them. You will feel them. You will see solid diorite warped by an energy beam. You can't warp diorite without breaking it. It doesn't work. But you'll see solid diorite warped. You'll see a gigantic rejuvenation chamber that's been warped by some type of an exotic energy field. And you can touch it. You'll see things that you never thought would exist on this planet. That's what I do when I take people to Egypt. It's a trip of a lifetime. We do incredible things.
From prying eyes to improving defenses to peace of mind. Transform the everyday with Siemens.
There's been a misconception going around for a very, very long time in the way that people have stated and talked about these Anunnaki beings, which are really they are the Atlanteans. Okay, so when you hear Atlanteans and you hear Anunnaki, we're talking about the same people. See, Anunnaki means those that came from heaven to earth or from another place to this planet, from space to this planet. Any being from any planet, anywhere in the known universe that comes to Earth is an Anunnaki. Okay, it's a generalized term. Just like if you were me, right? I live in Florida. I live in a city in Florida, right? So let's say Fort Lauderdale, Florida. If I hopped on a spaceship and went to another planet and people were there, and they said, well, where are you from? I'm not gonna say I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm gonna say I'm an Earthling from Earth. You see? And so it's a generalized name. Is what it is. Now, Atlantean is a specific name of the type of civilization that they built. They built an Atlantean civilization one text that I know of. There's only one text that's written by one of these beings. It's the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I wrote my book about this gentleman, right? Look up Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. It's my book. In there I talk about the guy who wrote his own tablets. He authored them himself. He didn't have a scribe write them. The rest of these tablets and scrolls and everything else were authored by scribes. People that one of these entities would dictate to. They called themselves gods, but they weren't gods. They masqueraded as gods, but they themselves even knew that there was something above them, because they said the creator of all will answer. They will have to answer to the creator of all for what they've done to people on this planet. So they themselves knew that they weren't the creators of the universe, because they called several times in the tablets on the creator of all, knowing that there was something higher than them. And so they knew humanity. Some were nice, some were malevolent, some were benevolent. Some were good, some were evil. Yin, there's yang. Some wanted to help, some didn't want to help. Some tried to kill us off, some tried to save us. You can find this in all these different epics: Epic of Gilgamesh, Epic of Akhar Hasis, the English, and the 7 tablets of creation. These texts predate most texts that exist on the planet, with the exception of the Emerald Tablets, some of the Vedas, and maybe the only thing that will come even close to a written handed down text will be the Mahabharata, right? And so the misconception, let me get back to my point that I was talking about, is there's this misconception between people that are following the ancient astronaut theory, is that the Anunnaki created humans. Now we have to be careful in how we state this, because according to the text, they didn't create humans. In other words, they didn't just from scratch, out of absolutely nothing, poof, there's humans here. There's some kind of magic or alchemy or something like that, or did they have the creation power. They use genetic manipulation, which we're going to take a look at tonight. We're going to take a look into genetic manipulation that was done in ancient times. And this is one of the very first accounts of this evidence of genetic manipulation. But going forward into the future, even into what you call the modern day Bible, you find genetic manipulation where it comes to Mary, the mother of Yeshua, aka Jesus. I don't like calling him Jesus because Jesus means hail Zeus, and I'm not hailing Zeus. I'm talking about a real person, Yeshua, which is his real name, right? Yeshua was also a product of genetic manipulation through something called vitro fertilization, as well as his grandmother, who was also a virgin birth, which they never tell you about that in Bible study, that Jesus' grandmother, right? Yeshua's grandmother was a virgin birth. You never hear about it. They never talk to you about that in Bible study. Not once have you ever heard that come out of anybody's mouth, except for me, forbidden knowledge. Look it up. Make sure you get all your apocryphal texts, the text that was by accident on purpose forgotten to be put into the Bible by the Council of Nicaea. That's where you find all the incredible truths at, right? The book of Enoch, he was such an important person that he was spoken about in the Bible, but his book, which talks about these same Anunnaki beings, left out. The Bible talks about the Anunnaki. They call them the Anak in the Old Testament. They say the people that ran into these Anak say that in their eyes we were grasshoppers in their sight. That's coming from the Bible, the canonized Bible that you take and read, pray to, and everything else, right? So these are the Anunnaki, they exist, and these beings, these people that are in these Sumerian tablets, their names are in the Bible as well, but nobody ever reads the Bible, so they wouldn't even know. It's a singular term, but Elohim. The Elohim is the same thing as the Nibiru of ancient Kemet. The Nibiru, the Elohim, they're the same interesting that you can find this in text that predates the Bible by tens of thousands of years? So, according to these tablets, this took place some 455,000 years ago, and but that was when they got here. But the creation of the Adam took place around 300,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, and that's when Homo erectus suddenly changed into Homo sapien, according to modern science. The process by which fashioning of the primitive worker was achieved.
Hello, Little's calling. Ching ching. Ching ching. No. Oh my god. It's an accident. I don't want to do this anymore. No, this can't be the thing you start doing in LA.
Is then described in the Atrahasis epic, as well as in several other texts. It involved obtaining from the blood of the god his tima. Okay, tima, that's probably his DNA. Scholars translate as personality or life essence, and mixing it with the ti'it of the attitude. The term ti'it has been presumed to come from the Akkadian word tik, which equals clay, which is why it talks about using clay in the Bible. Hence the notion echoed in the Bible that Adam was fashioned from clay, but it's not exactly what it meant. They manipulated that terminology to get you to believe that somebody picked up some dirt and turned it into a human being. I would never want to be considered that I was just turned from dirt into a person. I mean, he's all just a lump of mud. Now I'm a person. To me, that's not magic. To me, that's just dumb. Anyway, the life essence of personality of these gods was mixed with the essence of the existing being found here on this planet at the absolute, which is an atom. By mixing genes extracted from the blood of a god with the essence of the existing earthly being, the atom was genetically engineered. So, the topic of this is, did the Anunnaki create mankind? In a way, yes, but creation from zero to scratch? No. What they did was our cousins were already here. We had cousins here. According to these tablets, these beings came to this planet. They saw us. They didn't even care. They're like, whatever, let them do what they're doing. We're going to go ahead and start building this breakaway civilization on this planet, mining these resources and building this civilization out. They had their floor plans, they had their street grid, they had everything they wanted to do laid out beforehand. It's all talked about in tablets. And Lil said, I'm going to create the plan for all time on this planet. They started doing their work. They went right to work. They never touched us, never interact, never messed with us. But in the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, something very interesting happens, which goes back to Mars. These EGG beings, which were also related to these Anunnaki people, these Atlanteans on Earth, they said, man, we're doing too much work. Like, you got us out here laboring like slaves, and when we ask for breaks, you don't give us any breaks. How long do they work? According to the tablets, they labored for around 250 to 300,000 years, non-stop. Generation after generation, they just kept working, building. No breaks, no real rest, being worked like slaves. Finally, and the Greekness and Atrahasis, and also the Enuma Elish, they say, you know what, man, this is getting to be too much, you know? I think that we're slaves here, and we're not slaves, so we need to go ahead and get some straightening. So these beings, these Gigi people, they got together while on Mars. They had a discussion about it. They said, well, time to go to war. Time to go to war against the gods of Earth. That's Anu, who was the father, and then Enlil and Ea Enki. That was the Trinity right there. All right, those three people were running the planet. So what did they do? They got in their ships and they fell from Mars to Earth. They came from Mars to Earth. These are the gods that fell from heaven to earth in the Bible to go against God, to go against Anu, not the creator of the universe, God, to go against Anu, A-N-U.
Careful of the weights, don't kick it.
Okay.
One.
Hi, cutie pies.
I'm hungry. My life is up. Let's turn it up. Oh God.
Look,